I have increased my business the revenue in my business, I should say, by 160% this year. And I want to share what I did to do that. But before I do, let me just quickly introduce myself in case this is the first time you've run across me. I'm Lisa Mullis, and I am a strategic brand coach and messaging specialist, and I work with the service providers, basically coaches, consultants, and creative professionals to help them win with their words. And I also want to give you some context for this because I think a lot of times when people are making either claims or they're just sharing big accomplishments, they don't often share the details around that. And I think that's helpful so that you can understand like where I'm coming from and perhaps see yourself in, some similarities between my situation and yours, in which case what I'm sharing could be really relevant for you. And hopefully, you'll regardless get some insights and maybe some inspiration and ideas in what I'm going to share with you. Okay, so I am in my eighth year in my business. I've just entered my eighth year in my business, and this is my second business. And I've been in business for myself full time for the last 20 years, and I've been in marketing for the last 25 years. So that's where I'm coming from. I got a lot of business experience and I've weathered all the different sort of business situations that one can be in, from employees and business partnership to being solo as I am now, and everything in between. So I'm bringing in a lot of experience, in which case that does put me in a position to where I kind of, I don't know, I've just had practice like going through hard stuff. And there was definitely hard stuff this year. Don't get me wrong. Like this was, a hard year, and I know it was a hard year for a lot of people, but there was, for me, a lot of good that came through that. I'm always one to say that just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wrong. So I'm grateful for the hard, but yeah, it was definitely a hard year. And I want to also share that coming out of 2022, at the end of 2022, I lost a pretty major client, which represented a significant portion of my revenue. So in 2023, I was really like working toward making up that revenue, and so that definitely played into a little bit, especially mindset wise, in what I was doing in 2024, and I'll try to explain that in a minute as well. I'm a mom. I have two school age kids. I am married. So, I've got an active family life, and I work on average, I don't know, 40, 45 hours a week. So I'm not one of those people that's, in a position, like I'm working 20 hours a week or part time or anything like that. I work full time. And part of that's out of necessity because there's a lot to do in the business, and I'm just not yet in a position to where I can cut back the hours. And part of it's because I really love my work. I really love my work. And I had my business baby before I had my human babies. And so it's just always been a part of my adult life primarily. I do have a really amazing assistant that I've been working with for the last 3 years. So she knows my business well. We work together really great. And I have other really awesome support around me. I hire specialists to help me with certain things in the business, and I have an awesome coach, actually a couple of coaches. And I've always had coaches. So that's a little bit about my background, so you have some context for what I'm going to share. So these are the things in no particular order that made a big difference for me this year. And of course, as you might expect, I'm going to continue to do these things in 2025. The very first thing that was huge for me was a daily writing practice, which is kind of surprising that as a professional writer, I never had a daily writing practice. I have a daily journaling practice, which I've had for, I don't know, ever since I was a kid, but no daily writing practice. And I will share more details about the daily writing practice in a different video, and how I accomplish that. But it's only 10 minutes a day. That's the thing to know. It's a small amount of minutes per day, but yet what a massive difference that made for me this year in terms of um, my thinking, my developing my unique perspective, of generating tons of content, um, and just like connecting the dots, and then being in a position where I could output stuff even faster. Um, Creating all kinds of different playbooks for my clients on different aspects of messaging and marketing, lots of different presentations and slide decks, weekly newsletter, different offers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about that. And that is, I mean, I'll never not have a daily writing practice again because it's been so major. And when I say daily, I mean like literally every single day, Saturday and Sunday included. Okay, so that's enough about that. I'll have to um, cover that in a different video. Okay, I mentioned already coaching support, but this is not just the coaching I get is it's like all encompassing between the couple of coaching programs that I'm in. There's the mindset and kind of big picture strategy, but then there's also a lot of support around implementation. And I think that's really important for me to have support on the implementation side of this. Like, how do you apply all the stuff that you're taught? And for me, it's been really important to have a coach who's really well versed in messaging and marketing because it does double duty. I get to learn and up my game for my own business, but I also am learning and upping the game on behalf of my clients too. So that's been huge, and a lot of what I've learned from my coach has infused what I've done this year for sure, no doubt about it. I got super, super clear on my ideal client. I thought I had a pretty good idea of my ideal client, but what I realized this year was that that is just an ongoing journey, and there's more deeper I could go, and deeper I can still go. But yet, what I know now about my ideal client is way more than I knew last year. And it's put me in a position to be even more resonant, more specific, more emotional with my messaging. And I know that that's probably something you would expect a messaging specialist to say, but it's so true. I'm telling you that this is true for my own work as much as it is for anybody else. So that continues to happen. I've really put an emphasis on that, paying attention, having lots and lots and lots of conversations with people and really listening. Mindset work, just massive. I mean, this year has been so hard on so many different fronts. And I think that's kind of like a universal experience. And so the mindset stuff, I really had to lean into that. And that's been an ongoing journey for me. Just recognizing when I'm in a downward spiral and continuing to work and practice the tools to get me out of that spiral. So that just work never ends. But it's so central to any of the challenges that I experienced this year. It was always usually coming down to some kind of mindset glitch. So I had to address that. Running live events about once a month. So this is from a strategic point of view. This was really big for me, but also really pretty easy for me because I am somebody who's very comfortable on the screen, on stage. That's been in practice for me ever since I was a kid. And so for me to run a master class or a workshop, or do these videos is really easy. But because of my daily writing, like just generating the content for that stuff came so much faster, like amazingly faster. So I produced this year some brand new workshops and master classes, like quite a few, and for clients, and then just for like the general public, my audience. So that's an important part of my strategy because it allows me to have live interaction with people, and then tied to a lot of those events, I had calls. So that combo was really, really important. I also, along the strategy side of things, I invested with someone to help me set up some cold outreach, like a whole system for cold outreach through LinkedIn. And that's been amazing. We put that into play like kind of late summer. And already that's been generating some like really fantastic connections and conversations and client potential, and that's going to continue on through 2025. So just looking at how I could leverage my time to be present in those in that outreach and follow-up, but yet utilize some tools that can help me leverage my time through some automation and stuff like that. Making offers more often. So I made way more offers this year than I ever have. Along with that, sent way more emails than I ever have this year. And there was totally a direct correlation between those two things. And I have to practice what I preach and what I tell my clients about send more emails. Even when you don't feel like it, even when you're just like, oh, do I really need to send one more email? I had to coach myself through that too. And I was always so glad that I did. And so that was big. Uh, just the really like starting to understand in a very deeper way the difference between what I'm responsible um to for my clients and and what they're responsible for. So like this distinction between responsible to and responsible for, that was big. Because yeah, I made mistakes. People were unhappy at various points in times with things, and that just is part of what happens and part of growth. And it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable, and yet I did not allow that to stop myself. I had to really like take those learnings and keep running with it. And as I'm entering my 50th year, I've just also gotten to a place in my life where I care less about the people pleasing thing, which is really huge for me because I am historically have been a big people pleaser, high achiever, perfectionist. So I'm coming from that mindset. So that's been a lot of practice this year. And it's really helped. And along those lines, just allowing myself to make the mistakes. I totally will own my mistakes, but I'm also good with just like, even just like shipping stuff out the door with typos or whatever. It's fine. Like the world will not end and I can go back and fix it later. And so that was really big too, because it's all about like just staying and continuing to stay in momentum, even when I didn't feel like it, because of a mindset issue or um, I upset somebody or whatever, is just to continue to move forward and really like circle back into my why, my ultimate mission, for why I'm doing this work and why I really enjoy it so much. So those were some key things. And um, the last thing that I did that I put a lot of emphasis on this year, especially, was capturing client wins and kind of trying to create this culture of um, sharing progress and wins, big and small, within my client community. But then that allows me to also be able to share that in a broader sense. And so everything from just, small, like little snippets of like wins and progress to, full on like client video testimonials. And so that's been really awesome to put the emphasis on that. And kind of related to that is around some of the things for client retention. So all of that kind of combined together to really create what I am looking back on now that I'm at the end of 2024 as a pretty freaking awesome year. Um, hard, hard, because like I said, there were definitely mistakes. It wasn't perfect by any means, and I had to learn some, hard lessons and all of that. But overall, like a pretty awesome year. And yeah, so revenue's up by 160%. And I, of course, am like heading into 2025 feeling like really excited and in motion, in momentum. So I think that's the main stuff that I want to share. I would really love to hear any insights that you have or anything that you did this year in your business that was a big needle mover for you? Like, what were the things that had the biggest impact? Because I feel like um, we all have things that are like working really well and are worth sharing for sure. And I love to see what other people are doing and get inspired by that. I'm always inspired by what my clients are doing and the progress they're making. That's one of the reasons why I love the work so much and just being around like people who are like out there and doing it as hard as it can be. So I'd love to hear your own insights. You can put those in the comments wherever you're watching this video. And I wish for you a really amazing next year, whenever you're watching this. Um, and I will see you soon. All right. Bye bye.